Hi, I'm Jim Berenson from the Institute for Myeloma and Bone Cancer Research. I'd like to discuss with you, how do I know how good or bad my myeloma is? Very good question, very complicated to answer. There are so many facets to this, especially as we get more and more information from testing that we didn't have available just a few years ago, with protein testing, genetic testing, with proteins and genes we didn't even know existed a few years ago. All of these are helping determine that. But also importantly, this is a rapidly changing field as new drugs evolve. So the data we may have generated to predict outcomes from the old chemotherapy and steroids may not be relevant in the era of new antibody therapies and more targeted therapies. So just because there was a marker that said you're going to do poorly from data generated even a few years ago may not be relevant with all the new treatments. But in general, we want to know several things. One, how are you feeling? What's your quality of life? Are you active? Are you bedridden? These are very extreme differences and certainly predict outcomes. Some of that bedriddenness, if you will, may not only be related to the myeloma, but also other things that have nothing to do with myeloma, but will determine your outcome in a negative way if you're not active. So staying active is important. And then, of course, there's a variety of things that the myeloma does itself. Do you have poor blood counts? Because the myeloma is covering your bone marrow. That can predict a fairly difficult outcome. Are your blood counts normal? Likely easier for you to be treated with drugs that may negatively impact your blood counts. Your kidney function. If your kidney function is poor at the start, this used to be an incredibly negative factor. Not anymore. The good news, we have a lot of new treatment to deal with this. Unfortunately, many doctors treat everybody alike. You can't do that now. You need to be more aggressive to reverse kidney disease quickly, because unfortunately, if you don't, the patient may end up on permanent dialysis, and that is not a very good thing for your quality of life. And then how are your bones doing? Do you have a lot of bone disease, holes in your bones and fractures? That certainly can impact negatively your quality of life and how long you live. So there are a lot of factors that come into play that are myeloma and non-myeloma related factors that say, if you will, how good or bad is your myeloma, but probably more importantly, how good or badly am I going to do with the treatment for my myeloma? That's what it's really about.